Hi everyone, I'm Moody Boo, and I am back with another fragrance review. And if you're new to my channel, thank you so much for landing here. I really appreciate it. And if you're not new, thank you for returning. I really appreciate that as well. So the perfume I want to talk about today is a perfume. How do I say this? It offended me. I was offended when I smelled this, and I'm still offended, and yet somehow weirdly addicted to it. So it's odd. It's unusual. It's almost too much, and yet I adore it. And that is Amorosa by Ruth Mastenbroek. There is a hint of antiquity almost to it, almost old school to it. And it's like an old school perfume has been modernized and amped up about 10,000%. So, okay, let me tell you the notes, and I'm going off of Ruth Mastenbroek's website. So it's watermelon, violet leaf, and galbanum. That's the top notes. Heart notes are ylang ylang and tuberose, and base notes are amber and vetiver. So when you first spray this, that's when it's its most offensive. To me, it is tuberose, watermelon, galbanum, and violet leaf. And the galbanum is a bitter greenness. It has some bitterness to it. The watermelon is not the kind of watermelon that you normally smell in perfume. This is a little closer to almost an overripe watermelon. And the tuberose is thick and heavy. So I don't understand why I adore this perfume. Every time I smell it, I'm like, what the fuck is that? And why do I like it so much? There's the way the notes come together, though. There is a hint of sexy to it, and there's a hint of soapy to it, this is all so weird for me. This is all very new territory. I don't understand it. I don't usually like watermelon in a perfume. I don't like violet or violet leaf. I don't like galbanum normally. I'm not big into tuberose either. So I don't understand it. So I think part of my being offended is that it is really the first 20 minutes, it is really a hodgepodge, mishmash kind of mess. Those notes don't jive well together at first. They combat a little bit. Some of them try to run screaming away, but they're unable to because the other notes are pulling them back in to the fray, to the melee. So there's definitely, I think that's part of why I feel offended by it, is because it's a bad battle and nobody's winning. But then it's like the more you're involved in the fight, the more you want all of the teams to get along a little better, but don't necessarily keep fighting. And I really don't want anybody to be victorious. Does that make any sense? It's such an odd one for me. It's intense. And then when it dries down, now once the amber and the vetiver and the ylang ylang come in. Now the ylang ylang, it subtly kind of enters the arena, but it just stays around the edges and sells hot dogs. The vetiver and the amber finally come in and they act as referees. And they're like, everybody chill the fuck down. Can't we all just get along? Let's all go over there to Ylang Ylang and have a hot dog, sit down, maybe a beer, and talk about it. And so everybody starts getting along a little better, starts blending better. The fighting ceases. White flags are raised. And then that amber vetiver combo mixes with the rest of them, and it smooths everything out, and it makes it much less feminine, because it feels very feminine to me at first, even with all of that craziness happening. It feels very feminine. Once the amber and vetiver come in, though, less feminine, much more unisex. But I still think this is one of those perfumes most people, including myself, will interpret as more on the feminine side, with the absolute ability to be unisex. And the vetiver, you would think that just adds some greenness, but it adds this earthiness, and it tames the galbanum and the violet leaf. It tames them down, because I don't know if you've ever actually smelled a violet leaf. To me, the leaves actually have more scent than the flowers do. And they have a bit of tangy bitterness to them, as I recall. And so the vetiver tames all that down. It says, let's chill, let's stop, let's plant some roots. Everybody maintain some kind of composure. And the amber just warms everything up. It's beautiful. It's already starting to get that amber vetiver kind of combo with the ylang ylang circling the perimeter. Just a little bit. That ylang ylang, though, it isn't a buttery ylang ylang. It's almost a watery ylang ylang. I don't know if that makes any sense, because I've never heard of a watery ylang ylang, but that's kind of the visual I get. It is a performer. I usually do one spray with this, actually. And this I did not blind buy. I got a sample sent to me from someplace. I'm not even completely done with that sample yet, because it's like a 2 ml sample, spray sample, and it's going to last me for a while, a serious while, because it performs that well. I do one spray, one and one only. As far as the time of year, I would be careful. I would be careful in hot weather. I'd be worried this could bloom and possibly be headache inducing under the wrong kind of environmental circumstances. I think you should be careful. That's why I do one spray. And I would think nighttime for sure, not day. And cooler temps, probably a spring night, a cool summer night, potentially. But if you're like me, I don't like the heat. I'm not into it. I go from air-conditioned house to air-conditioned car to air-conditioned building, or I don't go. I don't hang out in the heat. So it's harder for me to gauge how some of these do in the heat, because I really don't spend any more than 15 minutes or so in the heat. But with this one, there's no doubt in my mind, there could potentially be an issue, a bloom issue. Blooming like a jellyfish. So as far as the price goes, this is a 30 ml bottle, and on Ruth's Mastenbrook's website, it's 70. I don't think it's the euro symbol. I think it's the pound symbol. And as somebody schooled me, the pound is a bit more than the euro, I think. So it's probably more like 100 USD as far as the price goes.
Did you like, subscribe, and ring the bell yet? What are you waiting for?
there's very few perfumes that are so wrong. They're just not right. And yet they can invoke a right emotion, a right response, even though they're wrong. This is one of those. It just, I mean, and like I said, it smells antiquated and yet modernized. So I love that. The perfumes of the past are super important, super relevant. But I am enjoying myself so much more fragrantly nowadays with all of the releases that come out in all of the houses than I did back in the 80s, 70s, you know, back then when there was much less to choose from. So I am really digging. I love when a perfume makes me remember it for whatever reason, because it was so awful or because it was so offensive. I'm really glad I have it. And this is going to last a long time. That was Ruth Mastenbroek Amorosa. Holy shit. It is not going to be for everybody. I would not blind buy this. Ever. This is going to be, and then, you know, there's going to be people out there that are going to smell and go, what's the big deal? Well, for me, it was. I had a moment with this perfume. That's all I can say. All right. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll be back. I'm going to do my Eau de Soliani Baccio. I'm also going to be reviewing my Prode. I've been wanting this one for a while. Cherry syrup. And also this one, Cafe de Chiang Mai. I gotta look that up, how to say that word. So anyway, and yeah, I definitely want to talk about them. What an incredible house. I can't even believe this house. You wouldn't believe how many samples they sent me. No, decants. They're huge. They're like 3 mLs. So, and the prices are so good with Prode. So I definitely want to talk about that too. So, all right. I guess that's it. So thank you again. And don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell and comment if you want. If you don't, it's all good. I still love you. And use your own nose. Peace.